Righty. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Shatandra Lister. I am a senior transfer advisor, also joined.
And hi, I'm Dr. Joanne Gleason-Craig. I'm the interim chair of nursing, and welcome. Glad to have you all here today.
All right, so today throughout the presentation, we're going to talk about the highlights of our RN to BS nursing program. Throughout, if you have any questions, you do have the ability to go into the chat box, so you can ask any questions that you may have, and then we'll either answer them here, or if we have any additional follow-up, we can definitely get back to you as well. But hopefully between the two of us, we'll be able to answer any questions that you might have.
And certainly, you know, I'm always available by email. You can find me on the web, so please feel free.
Absolutely. All right, so kind of just to give you a little bit of fast fact about Plattsburgh, because I think one of the advantages of the program that we have is that we have a brick and mortar campus that our program is a part of. So for Plattsburgh in general, we were founded in 1889. We have about 5,500 students in total, both undergraduate and graduate students, very diverse in terms of where our students are coming from. So we have 32 states that are represented. We have 73 countries, and then we are accredited by the Middle States Association by the whole of the campus.
And then certainly nursing, and I don't know if this comes up later, but we are also accredited by the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education, CCNE, whose parent organization of AACN is a leader in nursing education.
All right, so just kind of taking a look at our nursing students at a glance and kind of seeing where we are. We have a pretty sizable kind of group of students. We have 168 students that are matriculated, that are participating in the online RN to BS program. We brought in 45 transfer students for the fall of 2019, and we see that pretty consistently. So we are bringing in a sizable population of students. I also think it's important to note that there are different modes in which the program is taught. So we have our online program, and then we also have a hybrid program that takes place at the City Adirondack campus. So Joanne, can you kind of talk about, if you were to talk to students about our NTBS nursing program, kind of what are the highlights, what are things you would want students to know?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, talking about that, you're one of many is good, to realize that we have good experience, strong experience in working through this type of nursing education. Been doing this for quite a while. I don't know that I remember exactly what the date, although I was here when we transferred to the online program. So we have good experience with online education, online students. We recognize your needs. We are flexible. You really can do this at your own pace. We will give you individualized attention. It's a great opportunity to gain a credential that will help you advance your career. In terms of the program itself, it's well organized into blocks of courses that you can manage. We are beginning to offer some of our courses in a 7-week format, which can be very exciting for students, because then you can really focus on a smaller chunk of what you need to learn. And I think our program is very, very good at really helping you to think more broadly about healthcare and nursing and what you do and how it impacts patient-centered care. Okay.
I also think another important part of knowing the program and kind of what we have is knowing that we have been recognized by many different associations for kind of the rigor of the program that we have. So with this program, it is again designed for students who have their associate's degree in nursing and then are looking to complete their bachelor's degree in nursing. So with that program, it's different than we have a traditional nursing program, which students have not completed clinical rotations and are kind of learning that bedside portion of the nursing program. This program really is kind of taking students beyond that bedside portion.
Yeah, well, this is a typical completion program for RNs. So I mean, at this point, most people have an associate degree. There could still be some diploma nurses out there, and we will work with you as well. But you know that obviously the aim of this program is to help take you to the next level after completing your RN. Many students do come right to us right after completing the associate's degree, and that's just fine. I mean, actually, that's in some ways recommended. I'm sure you're very well aware of the new regulations in New York State for the BS in 10. So getting started right away is fantastic. You can take the program in a full-time manner and complete in 18 months or less. You could take it in a part-time manner and spread it out a little bit more. It's really up to you. We'll work with you to tailor your schedule to something that that fits your lifestyle. We do offer summer classes. We offer winter classes as well. So you could, if you choose to, take courses year-round and finish more quickly, or you could keep your summers or your winters free. Again, those summer and winter courses are, well, all of these courses are going to be online, so you can be at home in your pajamas, drinking coffee, and going to school, which is a fantastic thing, especially if you've been working a 12-hour shift.
Before we kind of head off this, I know that you kind of touched on the fact that we do have those students that are coming kind of right from their associate's degree on. Can you kind of talk about some of the other different types of students that we have, just in case we have students in the audience that are kind of figuring out,
Sure. Well, I mean, definitely, probably a majority of the students, well, I don't know anymore. I mean, it's getting to be mixed, but many students have been out of school for a while, and that can be a little bit daunting. You can worry, you know, can you do this? But let me tell you, yes, you can. Some people get a little bit concerned about the technology to begin with. But again, we have an orientation session. In fact, Shatandra and I were just talking about that. So we will guide you. We will give you individualized advisement. So trying to make sure you're choosing the right classes that will help you move through in a timely manner. But going back to the for many of you, you're working full time, you're supporting your families, you're trying to balance everything. So that is certainly something that that this program will allow you to do. Now, Shatandra, did you have some other ideas about a type of student? Because perhaps I'm missing something.
Yeah, no. So
one of these I've done.
I just think it's important to note the fact that pretty much any, I think, student type that you are, whether you're somebody that took your associate's, got your nursing degree 20 years ago and are, you know, looking to complete, or whether you're a new graduate.
Right.
I think that there are going to be students that are in the program that kind of are still coming from a similar point of view, but then also people that are different, that are able to teach you different things.
Exactly. And we found some terrific synergy of how our students might work together. Again, you may think of online as being very separate, but you would be discussing, you know, virtually, but still discussing with others, getting other people's viewpoints. So that mix of student experience is a great benefit to this type of education program.
And then lastly, before we go off, since we have those two different formats in which students can be in.
Well, most of our format is online, I would say.
Yeah.
So we offer some beginning courses at the Queensbury campus, but and that's why I speak to that idea of you can do online. I think some people they think they would like to do all their courses face-to-face. And so we do offer some opportunities, especially in some of the beginning courses, to be with, you know, in a classroom. However, what we find is that you all are busy, you have lives, and online really will meet your lifestyle needs. We will help you to feel comfortable in that environment. So I think more than focus on the ability to do the courses online. I'd really like, on campus in a face-to-face format. I'd rather focus on that, although that might seem what you're looking for, and we will provide you with some of that opportunity. We really would like to encourage you to think about the online being what most students end up really wanting. Yeah. And in nursing in general, when you look at nursing education programs that are growing for completing that bachelor's degree, that's what they're doing.
Excellent. Yeah, I find that with a lot of I also work with our readmission students. So if you were to enroll into the degree program, and if there was something that comes up for a semester, you're not able to continue for a semester and want to come back, right after that, I also work with those students to kind of onboard them. And I find that a lot. We have students that were originally in the hybrid, took a couple of classes, and then decide that online format just offers a little bit more for their their schedules. And
you also bring up a good point about you might end up, based on life, having to take a semester off, and we certainly understand that, and we will work with you to try to get you back on track when you're ready and able. There could even be some of you out there who have taken a course or two, and now you're thinking about trying to come back in a more dedicated manner. And that's great. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the gap. It'll be okay.
Right. So once a student comes to us and pays their deposit, we do their credit evaluation, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Course advisement, I think, is a really important part of the experience of making sure that you know exactly what it is that you're going to be doing. Can you kind of talk about what advisement would look like for students once they come in?
So when you are enrolled in our program, you would be assigned to a specific advisor, and typically that person is really going to facilitate your entire process of taking courses, as well as answer questions about other issues you might have in getting started. So each semester you would have some type of and I'll call it a meeting, but of course meeting could be email meeting, could be phone call, could be on something like this. We use a lot of Zoom or Skype or things like that, but somehow you will interact with your advisor. And let me even back up before thinking about that every semester thing, and talk about in the beginning. So when you first enroll, you would be assigned this advisor who would reach out to you and design your academic study plan. So the academic study plan, or the ASP, is something that will guide you through taking your courses. So they'll sit down with you and say, hey, tell me about your life. What are you expecting? Are you expecting to take one course a semester? Are you expecting to take 2 courses a semester? And then we'll lay out, here in fall of 2020, we expect you should take these courses. And in spring, we want you to take these courses. Why don't you pick up a summer course? We'll put it all on a document that you would have available to you. You can follow along with it. And then, of course, it's electronic, so everything can be moved. So if something happens and you're not able to take a planned course, it would be planned out for another semester. There are a couple of things that are important during the course advisement process to make sure that you do come up with a plan that's going to work. For example, we have 2 courses that have a clinical component, and maybe are we going to talk about that further on, or
we can talk about it now?
Okay, so we might as well talk about it now. So in terms of a clinical component, this means that you will be working with our clinical coordinator. This is a different person, to identify a site where you would like to have experience that would help you learn concepts related to public health and concepts related to leadership and management. So those are our 2 different courses that have clinical components. With that being said, then you need to make sure that you are ready to enter those clinical courses when you're planning on it. So we do have some guidelines about needing to take some. Those are both 400 level courses. Not that that's kind of getting a little in the weeds, but the issue being that we want you to finish up all the other courses, all the 300 level courses, before you go into those clinical courses. So of course, this means we have to advise you properly. We have to make sure that you get the courses so that when you intend to take those clinical courses, you are ready. And it kind of, it's almost a little bit of backward mapping, because with those clinical courses, it will take some time that you need to devote when you are available and not, let's say, working during those times. So again, let's say that you're going to do a leadership experience with a nurse manager at a health clinic. Well, that health clinic might only be open from 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. So you're going to need to be available at some time during that time. So if you also work at a job that's 8 to 4 Monday through Friday, then we're going to have to kind of plan that out with you. So thinking about when those clinical courses, and we would highly recommend you take them at different times, not in the same semester. But anyways, that will help drive what your course advisement will look like. So again, always looking forward, always thinking about what's going to help build your knowledge so that you are getting to the end, getting to when you can finish that off and sign that BS after your name. Were there other things you're thinking I should talk about course advisement?
I think that that was a lot of kind of what we were looking at, because I think
Okay.
that you got to the different ways in which the modes in which students can communicate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this program is designed for you, and you are not all sitting here in front of me on at SUNY Plattsburgh in the beautiful weather. Actually, we have a little bit of snow going on out there, but it's not too bad. So you're somewhere else, and we want to make sure that you are able to feel like you have the support you need. So whether it's phone calls, whether it's emails, we do a lot by email. I mean, it's very convenient for you as well, because you can check it at, maybe you work night shift and you're checking it at 11 before you go to work, or whatever it is. We will make it work for you.
So we kind of talked a little bit about it, but I think I've got some other questions in terms of that experiential learning. So with that clinical piece, I think that a lot of students will instantly think, I've already done that in my RN or my associate's degree. What is the difference between kind of what they would have done when they were in their associate's degree and what they would be doing with that 400 level clinical coordination?
Sure. So I think with the associate's degree, you are becoming that expert at the bedside. I know Shatandra talked about that before. And even with the bachelor's degree, you still may remain at the bedside, and that is a fantastic place to be. I did bedside nursing for a very long time and certainly enjoyed it. But with the clinical experiences that you would have, we're trying to help you look at a little larger picture. And some of you might not work at a bedside either. I probably just made a generalization I shouldn't. But in general, with the clinicals, as I said, they're focused on two main areas. One is in the public health realm. So we know that in the associate's degree, there's just not time. I mean, boy, you're learning so much important stuff. There's just not time to reach out and branch out into the public health arena. And certainly right now, with the focus on population health, this is becoming such an important aspect of professional nursing that we find that that's a great learning experience for students who are working towards their bachelor's degree. So the public health, you might be working with a public health department. You might be working with some type of another agency that does community focused health. It could be health education, could be direct health care. There's a number of ways that this could be made available. Again, I think you see right on the screen there that we will work with you to find what's going to work in your region. So you're going to give us some suggestions about places near you that might work out. We do have a lot of agreements with the various county public health departments, so that's often a good place. And then sometimes we will have students who end up doing some type of a self-directed project that they work on with other students in what we would call an applied learning experience, and that's more of a designing the activities so you can reach the outcomes. As I mentioned before, the other course that has a clinical component is the leadership and management course. And in that, you are working with some type of a nurse manager, and it could be in a hospital, it could be outside of a hospital. This is very broad. I mean, nurses in leadership positions work all over places. So again, we'll work with you to try to give you some ideas, and then you would start to look around and see if there's a place that you might go. We've put nurses in schools, well, for public health too, you know, it could be school, could be a wide variety of places. We will be very clear with you as to saying that here are the things you need to get out of this experience. Now let's go out and find something where you can work on that. So I think it's moving you to a broader way of a broader perspective. Not only are we thinking about this individual patient in front of you who may be ill or who may have health related needs, but now we're thinking about health systems. We're going to help you to think about systems. We're going to help you to think about how society impacts health and looking at making change in those kinds of areas. Okay.
I think another part of this program is the fact that knowing that you have that support of your faculty. Can you kind of talk about, we didn't talk about it in the beginning, and I should have,
okay.
about the faculty that are going to be teaching students in these classes?
Sure. And before so I don't forget, let me just also say about the sizes of the classes. So one of the things I would say right off, I think about the idea of individualized attention, and you really can get that because our class sizes are fairly, I'll say small, although I guess everybody has a different definition of small. For our clinical courses, typically they would have 20 students in those courses. For our not clinical courses, we're typically talking about 30 or perhaps up to 35, but certainly not large, huge numbers of students. So that faculty member is really able to talk back and forth with you. And when I say talk, again, it might be through one of the discussion forums in the online course management system. We use something called Moodle. So some people may have taken some courses in something called Blackboard, or there's other types of course management systems. But if I slip and say something about Moodle, that's what I mean. So Moodle would be the portal into your course. The faculty are at the minimum master's prepared, and many have doctorates or are soon to be graduating. Actually, we have a number of faculty who are about to finish their doctorates. In many cases, these are DNPs, so you may know something about the new degree called DNP, Doctor of Nursing Practice. So the faculty can be a wealth of resource, not only in teaching you the course, but also thinking about what's your future career. You know, it'd be a good chance to ask somebody that maybe is just about to finish their DNP, hey, was this a good path to go? Because your bachelor's degree might be your final degree, but it might not. Many of our students will continue and go on and then earn master's degrees or DNPs or PhDs. I think one of the best things that I've enjoyed is to see some of our RN to BS students come back and be faculty for us. So we do have some of that as well, which is really cool. Other things about our faculty, they have had clinical experience prior to coming to education. So many of them have sat right where you are. We do have at least a couple who went through an RN to BS program. And you know, I said some have gone through our program. Those are primarily our adjunct faculty who I'm thinking about with that. I'm trying to think if there is any faculty right now who went through our RN to BS. But anyways, you know, there's lots of different ways to get through the nursing path. But they are well prepared. They have been doing this a while. They have to go through some training as to how to teach online. So not only are they experts in the field that they're teaching in content in nursing, but also experts in how to manage online courses and or classroom courses if there were classroom courses. Yeah, we've got fantastic faculty right now. So
I think that that's fantastic to know
Yeah.
that they're getting that training in that online format.
absolutely,
Everybody's
yes.
had online classes, and what that is can
Yeah.
always be a little different. So knowing that they're prepared and that they're going to help you and assist you and facilitate you
Exactly.
through is
Yeah,
very
and you'll
nice.
find that faculty are responsive. I mean, you can't necessarily expect that you're going to get immediate response to an email if you send it at 2 in the morning, because that's when you got home from work. But still, you can expect that we're going to be responsive.
Right. So now that we've kind of talked about the program and what it is that that we have to offer, we're going to talk a little bit about the requirements and kind of next steps in kind of the journey to becoming a Plattsburgh R&TBS student. So in terms of requirements and what we're looking for, we're looking at an overall 2.5 out of a 4.0 scale. So with that, that's a cumulative average. So if you've taken coursework from multiple institutions, and many of our RNTBS students have done that, you've taken a couple classes here, you've taken a course here, keep that in mind because we'll need all of the transcripts to create that cumulative average. And again, that transcripts from all previous institutions. We also may ask for gap statements if we find that there is a large gap between when you attended one school and another, just to ensure that we have all of the transcripts that are required. We may look for that. So pretty much once you submit your application for admission, within a couple of days, you will get an email from us that lets you know, thank you for submitting your application. And here is your online portal system. It's called My Plattsburgh. It allows for you to check any of your missing items. So within about 2 to 5 days of your application coming to us, we would then send you a kind of checklist of the items that we'll need. So if you have transcripts that were sent with your application, we will already have had those kind of satisfied as complete. But if we have additional requirements that we're putting out for you, it's important to kind of keep an eye on it. We will send you periodic emails and text messages to let you know if there are still items. We also do pretty regular phone outreach to students as well, just so that so that you don't get a month in thinking that your application is complete. You're going to get a decision only to realize that we've asked for another transcript. So keep an eye on that. We will also be notifying you once we get all of those materials. We can typically make an admissions decision within about 2 to 5 business days. So,
and I'm going to add a couple of things that I was thinking about. One having to do with, and let's hope I don't forget. So one having to do with thinking about, well, one thing we find that students do want to know, how are my courses going to transfer?
Excellent.
And often you want to know that even before you've actually applied.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to say a little bit about that. I mean, if you are not one of our students yet, but you're kind of shopping around and you're interested in talking to someone from the nursing department, we will, between whether you contact admissions or whether you contact our department directly, we will set someone to talk with you. We will do some kind of general idea on how your courses are going to transfer, but you might not get a full, until you apply, you may not get this full credit evaluation that Shachandra's talking about. But still, we would be able to say that, hey, you went to a community college. We pretty much accept everything from a community college. So in general, we'll be able to tell you how your courses will transfer even before you have applied. Because many of our students actually are second degree students. They may have had a degree in something before they went back for their nursing degree. So some of those courses may also transfer depending on if you were at a 4-year school or a 2-year school. I mean, there's always kind of all kinds of policies about numbers of credits and things like that. But again, we will kind of walk you through that. Then the second thing that I've seen come up is that sometimes students are wondering whether they can start the BS program before they've taken their NCLEX. So I will say, yes, you can, until you get to a certain point. So we're going to let you, if you haven't taken the NCLEX, but you're interested in starting to take classes, we will let you do that, but there will be a stopping point where we'd say, hey, you have to finish up. Yeah. So I would encourage you, if you're in the upcoming graduating class of either December or May, take your NCLEX as soon as possible. I mean, I hope you're getting that advice as well from if you're still in school, because that's your best chance of succeeding in passing. And also then that prepares you to move quickly through the nursing program, as opposed to if you haven't taken the NCLEX yet, then you definitely cannot take any of those clinical courses. We expect you to have that NCLEX before we put you out in those more independent situations.
I think that that's definitely important to note. So don't let that, because I even have students that will think that they can't apply without that. So don't think that that will prevent you. We'll put a condition on your decision that says, hey, we need this, send us your updated final transcript that has your associate's degree posted on it. And then the nursing department will also follow up with the requirements of providing proof of your NCLEX. So don't let that be a stopping point. Submit the application, get the stuff in. Just so that you kind of have an idea and know where you're going. And then that also.
And with that in mind, you know, some people are looking ahead at that BSN 10 and saying, even when I'm in school, is there anything I can do to start taking courses towards the bachelor degree? And the answer would be yes, to a point, of course, again. So as a non-matriculated student, in other words, a student who actually hasn't even applied yet for graduation, you would be allowed to take a couple of our courses. So if you wanted to just kind of check it out, see what it's like, then I would encourage you to do that as well. Could be summer, could be winter, could be something you add on to your spring and fall.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, so we talked a little bit about credits, but we're going to kind of do a little bit more comprehensive view of that transferring of credit. So what would happen once you are accepted? Within about 2 weeks, you are going to get a credit evaluation at that point of acceptance. So in the past, we've done them at the point of deposit. We have now opened that up so that really you have the tools in your hand to know exactly what you have left before making an admissions decision on, you know, obviously the institution that you're going to be attending. So for Plattsburgh, we will transfer a maximum of 67 credits from a 2-year institution up to 84 credits from a 4-year institution. We would also take any AP credit from high school, any like CAP credit, super credit from like SU. We have a lot of students that will forget that and may find that, oh, I took my English 101 when I was in high school, and so it's looking like I don't have that. And then in talking to us may realize, oh yes, I have some of those credits, and those will come forward. And then also if you've taken any military credit as well, whether that's through the Community College of the Air Force, through your military training, send us anything that you have, and then we can work up that best number for you. So between a 2 and a 4-year school, we will cap at that 84 credits. It's also important to note that when we are transferring credit from the admissions office, we're only transferring your non-nursing credits. So you may look at that and see at the point in which you are coming in, hey, I'm only getting 34 credits. That's not including any of the nursing credits, which would be transferred at a later point in time.
Yeah, and that's a good point to talk about. So we do this really for your benefit of transferring up to 34 credits of the nursing content, I'll say, because you know, nursing courses are so varied in credit. So you might have taken what was called med-surg in, you know, one in your particular nursing program, and maybe it was a 8-credit course, and then we only have a 5-credit med-surg course. So, you know, things didn't mesh together. So what we've opted to do instead is to, as a block, after you after you complete our first nursing course or one of our first nursing courses, we will then transfer that as a group. It won't be a one-for-one, but you'll see it called validation credit, which sounds like a messy thing. But once you've passed that NCLEX, pass the NCLEX and have the associate degree in nursing, then we consider that you have met all the requirements of our lower division nursing.
Okay. And then another point to have kind of keep in mind for students that meet their SUNY general educational requirements at the point in which before they enroll, that can waive them from that general education coursework here, with the exception of global issues and also our library skills class as well. That is built in because it's a requirement for the nursing program. So that is a little bit of a difference, but students would take it prior to.
And I think we should be careful with that one too, because most students have gone through an AAS degree. If you have an AAS in nursing, you have not met the SUNY Gen Ed. So this would only apply to people who perhaps had a second degree prior to that nursing. As you all know, your associate degree in nursing is jam-packed with nursing, and it doesn't really leave you enough space to meet the SUNY Gen Ed requirements. So most students we find do need at least one other SUNY Gen Ed when they come here, but those are also available online.
Absolutely. In terms of kind of keeping an idea of the dates and deadlines that we recommend, these again are complete recommendations. So we operate on rolling admission, and we find that, especially with our online programs, you may find that students are applying later into the application process. So this is showing for spring, November 1 is the preferred deadline. We are still accepting applications. We will get the majority of our applications probably after that November 1 deadline. So don't see that and think, I have no chance I'm going to apply for fall or for spring. Submit your application truly at any point in time, but we do have entry terms for spring, summer, and fall. So it's nice to note that summer is a new term that we've added, where you actually would be able to matriculate into the program during that time. So we would like to see for summer around May 1, fall, March 1, again, that's very early, and then these deposit deadlines as well. If you are accepted by the point in which it's 30 days before December 1. December 1 would be that date in which you would want to submit your application and be guaranteed a refund if things were to happen or you were to change your mind. But after that date, so pretty much from now until the start of the spring semester, or any semester in which you have less than 30 days, from that date, it would be a 30-day time frame that you have to make your admissions decision and commit. And then have any opt-out if you were to change your mind.
Yeah, and I would encourage that if you are thinking about it, to apply earlier, just so that you're not kind of dealing with a last minute stress and rush. Because although I completely agree, and I know in this fall we were taking students in like a couple of days prior to the semester starting, that's not easy for you, because it just makes your life a little bit crazy, because suddenly you have to try to fit in choosing classes and all that kind of stuff. The good thing is, again, we will work right with you, and we will get you all set up. But it will be less stressful for you if you're able to plan it out a little bit better, take time to go through our orientation session, which is, again, done online on our Moodle platform. So I'll just kind of put in a plug for,
absolutely.
And one reason that I've seen that people do have, that why people have done that, is it sometimes happens where you're waiting for confirmation from your employer that they're going to pay for or reimburse you for those courses. So there may be some really good reasons why you do have to wait, but again, you could talk to us ahead of time so we could start to make a plan.
Yeah, I would always encourage, especially since now we have that ability to have your credit evaluation, we can share that with the department. You can have that conversation beforehand to get everything done and then be waiting for that, because that's a much faster process. Once the credits are done and once you kind of have that plan, or at least an idea of what you're going to do, the ability for that to start begins quickly, versus if we're pretty much starting from scratch and getting your application in, trying to frantically get your transcripts from many schools, doing your credits. It's a lot for you. And we also can't guarantee, we do our best to make sure that, especially if you are in that last couple days before the start of the semester, that we're going to get everything done. We do our best, but there are times where there's just not enough time, and we may have to encourage you to start in a later semester. And we also do have that ability, if you were to apply for spring and then you go through the process, you get accepted, and you realize that your employer is not going to be able to provide that for you, you can defer your application for up to a year. So that's always nice to put it in for this term. If it doesn't work out and it's going to have to change for a future term, you have that ability to do that. And that's a much easier process than, so know that. Don't think that you pretty much always have to start from scratch. You know, if one semester didn't work, you don't have to go through that full application process again. We can make it a little bit easier for you if you've already gotten that admissions decision.
Okay.
Alrighty, so at this point, I'd like to thank Joanne so much for her time. Are there any things that you would like to say before you end?
I love that ending phrase there. The future is yours.
Yeah.
I think nursing is a great career, and there is so much you can do with it. You probably have thoughts already, and so you know, continuing with that bachelor's degree is a great step. I think we have a great program, and we're always thinking about how to make it better for you. And so, you know, we've had students who have really been happy and have gone places and done things, and I think this is a great launching pad.
Absolutely.
Yep. Or even, you know, and I don't want to say that you have to go somewhere else. You might just be very happy with what you're doing, but this will give you a different perspective on the healthcare system and what you're doing with your career. So I hope to hear from you.
Yeah, that's a great way to end. So thank you all so much for joining us this morning. If you do have questions, definitely feel free to reach out to us on the web. Both of us kind of have our contact information. Mine is on the admissions page. If you go to the nursing page, you will find Joanne's contact information. We'd love to start that conversation with you to kind of figure out if the program is a good fit for you and kind of what the next steps would look like for you from there. All righty. Have a good one, everyone.